Welcome inside another edition of Celtics Roundtable on CLNS Media. CLNS Media, the leading online provider of audio-video coverage of the Boston Celtics. Welcome inside a Tuesday Tirade edition of Celtics Roundtable. This edition is brought to you by Bombfell. Go to bombfell.com/CelticsBeat for $25 off your first order with sign up with bombfell.com. Evan Valenti alongside Zaire here on this Tuesday, coming at you with a little tirade edition. Zaire and I are going to get into Marcus Morris later in the show. We're going to talk about why both of us are very high on him and give you kind of our hot take version of what we think Marcus Morris can be for the Celtics. But of course, we start with a little newsier kind of a thing right now as Kyrie Irving went on First Take on ESPN. It was, I think, eventful. I think some people portrayed Kyrie in a weird way. He got peppered with questions from Max Kellerman and Stephen A. Smith about why he left. And Zaire, I'm not going to lie, with a lot of the things that Kyrie said, I know everybody wants to point to LeBron, and it was LeBron this, and LeBron that, and LeBron this. Kyrie sounded like a guy that was at least not miffed at just only LeBron. It seemed like it stemmed beyond LeBron to other guys, not maybe within the team organization, like guys in the front office, guys in the coaching staff, guys on the team that play with him, just a bunch of guys. I just feel like if there's so many things going wrong in Cleveland, how can you really blame Kyrie Irving for wanting out?
All right, first, before I even talk about Kyrie Irving, I have to salute the Roundtable. It is the #1 YouTube show for CLNS Media, so a big cheers. I'm holding up my Dasani water to everybody that's a part of the show. I got my #1 shirt for, it says Indiana Hoosiers #1 on it from 1981, you know what I'm saying? Big shout out to the Hoosiers, Isaiah Thomas's team, the original OG Isaiah Thomas, shout out to him. And also, rest in peace, Bobby the Brain Heenan, the #1 greatest wrestling manager ever. All right, now that we got all that out the way,
I want to
say this. I want to say this, that traditionally the Cleveland Cavaliers are very dysfunctional. They have been, almost always have been. There have been times where there have been peaks and there's times where there have been valleys, but traditionally speaking, this franchise hasn't been much better than the Clippers, traditionally speaking. So when he arrived, LeBron wasn't there anymore. And I've heard people talk about things in perspective. The perspective is that he was, I guess he saw things happening a certain way when he first got there. And then LeBron arrives, and who's gonna not take LeBron James? It's an easy sell. He sells tickets. He wins basketball games. But Kyrie Irving often gets the blame for when, if LeBron wasn't there, you wouldn't be a winner and things wouldn't happen. Well, we don't know, and they didn't build the team for him. They built the team for LeBron James. He was there with the remnants after LeBron left, and he was there for a brief amount of time, and then LeBron came back, and it was all about LeBron. That being said, Dan Gilbert, I'm just never have been a really big fan of him. Have been a big fan of how that front office in Cleveland caters to one person. And with the Celtics, it's about the culture of the Celtics. And yeah, you definitely respect your stars, but they put all their eggs in the LeBron James basket in Cleveland, and they do that to a point to where it's guilty, like it's not good.
Yeah, I'll piggyback off that, because I think part of what you said there is sort of right. Like, you're gonna have Kyrie Irving there, and like and look, this is all like conjecture too. Like, we're all kind of guessing at what Kyrie sort of left for, right? We have no clue, and we might not ever know exactly why Kyrie left Cleveland. All we're doing is just going to guess. But I think part of that's correct. Like, if you look at it, if you're Kyrie Irving, right, and you're thinking about what does this team look like after LeBron leaves? Well, it's a team suited for LeBron and not a lot else. And if you're going to get stuck in Cleveland in your prime, although he's a popular player and might be able to recruit other guys there, it might be easier for him to do so in Boston. So I think he's getting out of there thinking, like, look, I made the best decision for me, and he kept saying, as a man, right? I kept making the best decision for me as a man. I'm doing what I can to, perfect my craft, so to speak. Like, he doesn't think that the best use of his prime is going to be in Cleveland, where it's just going to be a ruins of a basketball team. It's not going to really be a basketball team. Think of what would be there when he leaves. Like, Kevin Love may or may not be there. You have J.R. Smith, who needs the ball a lot. You're going to have Tristan Thompson, who's just a nice catch-and-lob player. But then you have, like, no cap space, no future assets. It just makes a lot of sense for Kyrie to get out now. And I thought it was interesting, Tom Westerholm of Matt's Live pointed this out, that Kyrie Irving kept insisting on part of the reason why he wanted to leave, come to Boston, is because he wants to be a more complete point guard, that he wants to become a guy that makes his teammates better. He said that in the interview with First Take, and that's the thing everybody's been creaming him for. Like, oh, does he have this next step in his next gear in his playmaking ability? It seems like Kyrie's willing to take that head on.
Well, once again, like I said before, experts don't really know much, man. You got a lot of guys that only talk about what they see in the immediate right now. That's what they talk about, and what they've seen like last year and past that and beyond that. They're incapable of thinking of it. And not that they're incapable, they refuse to think of it. Kyrie Irving has the chance to prove what he can do, and just because you've never seen it done doesn't mean it can't be done. We didn't see a guy as small as Isaiah Thomas do what he did last year, but look, he did it. No one predicted that it would last the whole season, except for me, but he did it. So let's let this guy do this. And I think that a lot of these guys, man, they talk out the side of their neck so that people listen and watch the shows and complain and go on Twitter. You know, they don't really use logic at all, because logic doesn't sell. You know what I'm saying? Logic doesn't sell. Craziness sells. The wild prediction sells. The thing that the complaining about someone sells. You know what I'm saying? We just go back and forth so much. I was just talking the other day with someone about how, you know, everyone was mad when LeBron James left to play with other people, and then Kyrie Irving says, "I'm gonna go do my thing my way, and I don't want to be with you no more, Superman." And then people get mad about that. You know, it just can't. You can't go too high, too low with different things. You know what I'm saying? You just have to kind of take things as they are. And I look at this right now. Kyrie Irving is coming to a situation where he's under a coach who has just done so much as a man not as a man, but as a coach with his players, man, made them better, taking them places where no one would think they would take them. He's in a great situation. So why wouldn't it work? I don't see why it won't work, and I don't see why he needs LeBron James in order to be great. It's helpful, but you could definitely do your thing without LeBron James. You could definitely win a championship without LeBron James. Ask Kawhi Leonard.
I want to do two quotes from this thing, and then we'll move on, because we spent so much time in this podcast covering Kyrie Irving, and we're all really excited. Like, let's not get wrong. We're all really pumped up. You know, season's happening in 20-plus days. We're getting really close. But I thought there was a couple of interesting conversations had in that First Take art piece. In the first one, Max Kellerman goes to Kyrie, says, quote, "If you're playing on the Chicago Bulls, it's going to be about your relationship with Michael Jordan. If you're playing on the Cavaliers right now, it's about your relationship as the second best player on the team with LeBron James. Am I wrong in that assessment?" And Kyrie just goes, "I just think you care entirely too much," which I thought was fairly accurate, because again, it's harping on the same thing over and over and over and over again, which I think is the one thing Kyrie's actually sick of. And my last favorite quote from this whole thing, I don't know if you saw this here, but Kyrie said, quote, "When you're very much woke, there is no such thing as a distraction," which will be my first tattoo when I get one, no question.
Hey, man, maybe the guy does care too much. I think that's the case in sports in general, man. I think as a society, we care too dang much, and we care too much to criticize things that don't really even need to be criticized, because we're bored, and we need things to help us get out of our miserable lives that we have. You know, things that, there's so many of us working jobs that we hate, and so many of us, you know, involved in things that we wish we weren't involved in, or wish we made better decisions and got straight A's in school. So we use sports as an escape, and we often criticize the moves that people make in sports as opposed to criticizing our own lives and the things that we could be doing. So yeah, Kyrie Irving, I think is focused on being a great basketball player and doing his job for the Boston Celtics. And I think that's what he's going to do. Have I been the biggest Kyrie Irving fan? Probably not. I thought, I saw flaws in his game. But at the same time, what I do like that I see in him is this direct focus to be the best that he can be at what he does best. And many of us don't maximize that in our real lives. So that's why I just laugh when I hear so much criticism on athletes, because it's like, man, these people, for the most part, athletes on the top level are zeroed in on being the best that they can be at something. And most of us never do that in anything in life. So, yeah, I mean, Kyrie's going to be cool. And I think everybody just needs to just enjoy the ride. Just watch and enjoy the ride.
We talk about being the best at things. Well, Bombfell is the easiest and best way for men to get better clothes. All you got to do, it's real simple. You just complete a simple questionnaire, and then you are matched one-on-one with a dedicated personal stylist. Mine was named Jasmine. She was super awesome. She hooked me up with this shirt, with this undershirt, super soft tee, these jeans. I'm decked head to toe in Bombfell today. When you sign up, when you go to bombfell.com, bombfell.com/CelticsBeat, you pay $0, okay? You only pay for the clothes you keep, period. Bombfell is the only styling service that does not charge any fees to work with them. Do you guys hate shopping for clothes? Sometimes it can be really monotonous, it can be really boring, it can be tough. You don't know what size you are, don't know what to do. It's super easy to do it with the comfort of your own home and to use it with Bombfell. Again, part of that questionnaire, your height, your sort of build, what you like, what you don't like, what brands you like, what brands you don't like, how much you're willing to spend. All of that is factored into your own little personalized box or what have you, right? Again, at first, Jasmine picked out a shirt that I probably wouldn't wear. It was this like orange and blue checkered thing, and I like orange and blue. I'm a Syracuse guy, but it was just too much going on. This one, much simpler with the whole outfit. She nailed it from start to finish, and signing up right now could not be easier than ever. So here's how you do it. You sign up today by going to bombfell.com. Okay, bombfell.com. Answer some questions about your size and style. Your stylist will email you his or her selection, after which you have a chance to make any changes you want, and you can even cancel the order, period. Again, Jasmine was awesome. I don't know if you can name drop her. You might want to. She was fantastic. It's the most simple, straightforward service around. They're on your side, and the service is completely flexible. You can receive clothes once a month, every 2 months, whatever suits you. Again, $25 off your first purchase by going to bombfell.com/CelticsBeat. Bombfell, open and clothes. We want to get into Marcus Morris. This is a topic that Zaire and both and I are very passionate about, because I think a lot of things, everybody gets a hype train, right? At some point during this offseason. It's a long offseason. Everybody gets one. Jaylen Brown, Jason Tatum, Kyrie Irving, Gordon Hayward, so on and so forth. But I think one of the guys that's getting missed in this whole thing is Marcus Morris, who, Zaire, I don't know about you, but I look at Marcus Morris, and I don't really see a huge wide range of outcomes. He's not going to be the Celtics' best player. He's not going to be their second best player or third best player. I think he's like bottom end, at the worst, their 8th best player if he's really bad. I think you're more likely into that 6th man, potentially a really nice starter that you can plug and play in. I love his fit on this Celtics team, and I think this is a team that might be able to use him a little bit better and a little bit differently than he was with Van Gundy in Detroit.
I see Marcus Morris as possibly being the 4th best scorer on the basketball team. Here's a guy that has proven that he can put the ball in the basket, and he's done it on teams where the offenses haven't been that great for the most part. I looked through his career, and I think he was in Houston for a while, but typically as a key player and a key contributor to a team, most of the teams he's played on, they finish 26th, 27th in assists. He hasn't played on teams where they move the ball well. Brad Stevens' offense definitely is about great ball movement, great passing, and I think he's going to get better looks. I believe that another good thing about him, I looked at a stat that said that when he plays 30 minutes or more, that's 161 games in his career, he averages 15.1 points per game, and that's higher than his regular average. The more time he plays, the better he does. Another thing I like about him is that out of all the teams that he's played against in the Atlantic Division, he averages the most points against Atlantic Division foes. So I think that's another cool thing because he's playing in the Atlantic Division, and that's where the Celtics need to definitely do the most damage. So I believe in Marcus Morris. I think that a lot of people are kind of sleeping on him. They think that they grew attached to Jay Crowder. A lot of people fell in love with Jay Crowder, and I understand why. But he's gone now. And Marcus Morris, I think it can fill that void. They are similar in many ways. If you look at their stats, there's a lot of things that they do that's very similar. Some things that they do wrong that are similar too, where it's like, oh no. However, yeah, Marcus Morris is going to be fine. I can see him averaging the usual 13 a game on this squad and actually doing it in a more efficient way under a more offensive-minded coach, under a more disciplined offensive unit. You got Al Horford out there with you. You got, two very good scorers that he didn't have in Detroit. They're going to be fine. And even if he plays with Marcus Smart, I believe, and I know I've come down on Marcus Smart, but Marcus Smart is probably a better distributor than the guys they had in Detroit. So I think he'll be fine.
Yeah, I'm excited for this. I just want to make sure we acknowledge this point. Jared Weiss of CLNS Media and of Celtics Blog tweeted this out earlier on Monday. Quote, an opening statement of Morris Twins assault trial, again, to keep this in mind. Their attorney claims they were not present for the assault and witnesses are lying. Attorney claims their friends, Julius Kane and Christopher Melendez, who pled guilty last Wednesday, will testify they were alone in the assault. So okay, just keep your eyes peeled. Make sure you tune in with Jared to get the latest updates on this trial, because that's going to make a big difference as to what happens with the Celtics and Marcus Morris going forward here. But the one thing I like about this acquisition, and I'll get a little bit more hot taking a little bit about it, but you have a guy in Marcus Morris going from an offense that was towards the bottom in offensive efficiency and pace. They were, 25th in pace in the NBA last season, to a team in Boston that gets more shots, generates a higher efficient offense. Boston was 8th in efficiency last year in overall offense in the NBA. You're automatically putting him on a better team with better offensive players around him than he's ever had. Like Andre Drummond's a guy that likes to have the ball and go to work on the block. You have a guy in Reggie Jackson who holds the ball all the time, and he was not their best point guard last year. They had other guys that come through there, Ish Smith being one of the ones that I really liked, and have done much better than Reggie Jackson. You have Tobias Harris out in Detroit, who's a guy that needs the ball a lot, so Marcus Morris is really kind of limited in the types of shots that he takes. Now, I don't think that's going to change too much. He's a really good catch-and-shoot three-point shooter and a catch-and-shoot shooter in general. Back when he was with Phoenix, back in 2013, 2014, 2015, catch-and-shoot, major part of his game. 43% of his shots those years were catch-and-shoot variety, and he was 51% on catch-and-shoot twos and 40% on catch-and-shoot threes. I would assume that Danny and Brett have seen that and said, okay, and here's where I get a little hot takey with it. We had a guy last year, the Celtics did, a guy like Avery Bradley, who was able to be pretty efficient on catch and shoots last year, a guy they made a big part of their offense on that type of shot. Whether it's off pin downs, flare screens, what have you. Avery Bradley got a lot of open looks based off catch and shoot opportunities. And now I don't think, it comes from a different spot on the floor, different guy in their offense, but I think he can replicate that type of guy where in a catch and shoot situation, he's wide open, he's going to bury it more times than not.
That's a good point. It's hard for me to assume what Marcus Morris is going to do. It's hard for me to assume, except for I think he's going to find a way to score points. And I think, and that's whether it's going to the basket, I think he's just going to find a way. I think he's going to be one of those guys that does what it takes to win. And I liked what I heard when I heard him do his interview, when he arrived to the Celtics. He said he's going to do whatever he's asked to do to win. And just looking at him, his demeanor, he seems like a business first kind of guy, a guy that's like, hey, I'm in this, I'm going to bring my hard hat, and that's the type of player Boston fans love. So he's going to fit in well. How long anybody is going to stay on this team is always right. It's a good point. It's always up for debate. But I think while he's here, while he's in Boston, he's definitely going to win people over. He's going to be gritty. You're going to see this guy during the playoffs, probably mixing it up and getting a couple, tussles here and there. He's going to be a guy that fans really love. When he's struggling, people, of course, are going to crap on you anyway. But I think he's going to find other ways to contribute. Just like, Jay Crowder would do, just like Marcus Smart does, just like Terry Rozier does. But he's going to do it, and he's going to be better. I think he's going to be better. I think he's going to be a tad better than Jay Crowder in this situation.
I don't know if I'll go that far. But they have striking similarities in terms of like being able to catch and shoot, being able to guard, up and down positions if they have to. I don't know if Marcus Morris has that type of switchability that Jay had to guard guys that are smaller than him, but he's going to be able to hold up a little bit better on guys that are bigger than him. I mean, being 6'9", 35 pounds, he's going to be able to hold up against much bigger threes and much bigger fours when he has to switch on defense. I thought the Marcus Smart points are actually really good. I kind of see him, I mean, not the same mold that's like a distributor or whatever, but a guy, as you said, that just gets whatever he has to do done, and just a bigger version of it, like just a bigger, stronger version of Marcus Smart, who's a guy that's pretty strong and pretty physical himself. Now, Marcus can guard 1 through 4, and that's kind of one of the big things that makes him so attractive. He's a better distributor, whatever. I just think in terms of like effort, you'll never have to question Marcus Morris's effort. You never question Marcus Smart's effort on the floor. He always leaves everything out there. That's one thing I'm really excited about. And when you factor that in, the Boston Celtics have a bunch of young guys that kind of have similar molds to Marcus Morris, I believe. Like Shemi Ojeleye and Yabu, I think have similar body types, similar outcomes maybe. And can really learn from a guy like Marcus Morris, who's been kind of down in the dumps a little bit with Phoenix, ran into some trouble there, got moved to Detroit and had some more success there. Now he's coming to Boston, a place in terms of culture that's thriving right now, has some young guys to teach, is sort of a veteran leader type of guy for those type of guys. I'm pretty excited just with his teachings for the younger guys on the Celtics roster, a la Gerald Green, a guy that the people can rely on, how to be an adult, right? How to be an adult is kind of a big thing, how to take care of yourself, who to distance yourself from, who to not distance. I mean, you talk about distancing yourself from guys like Morris is probably going to know better than most with his, somewhat of his track record. I'm excited for Morris. I think, I mean, I don't think he'll be the 3rd or 4th best player on the team, but I think he can be super valuable. And when he was traded for, in my head, I thought immediately, this guy has potential to be the Celtics' 6th man of the year. And that's going to do it for this edition of Celtics Roundtable on CLNS Media. Make sure you go to bombfell.com/CelticsB for $25 off your first order. We'll be back on Friday morning with another Friday Fights edition of Celtics Roundtable. Make sure, if you watch us on YouTube, make sure you hit, first off, hello, make sure you hit that like button and subscribe to CLNS Media if you're watching us on YouTube. If you're listening to us on the go, subscribe to the Boston Celtics newsfeed with other podcast app you use. And make sure, if you want to ask a question in the Monday mailbag and you want to make sure your question is asked, go to iTunes, give us a 5-star review, and ask your question in that comment section. Follow us on Twitter at CLNS Roundtable. And again, we'll be back Friday, another Friday Fights edition of Celtics Roundtable. So for my man Zaire, I'm Evan Valenti. I'll see you next time.